Ask the Messenger's TV show is a TV show that educates, informs, and entertains our viewers on public health issues such as mental illness, suicide, addiction, illness and disease, COVID-19 relief, crime, domestic violence, homelessness, human trafficking, employment opportunities, healthcare, and more. And now, Ask the Messengers.
Today on Ask the Messengers, our very own Derick Hill spoke with the Detroit Fire Chief, James Harris, and other providers who were part of the Hands Only CPR event that was held at the Northwest Activity Center in Detroit. And Christina Floyd, Deputy Director of the Detroit Health Department, speaks with us as well. Also in this episode, author series with Kimberly Mallory and her guest Maria Williams. Plus, our Doing Business in Detroit series featuring Aaron Gibson, owner of Royal Clothing brand. And a message from our life coach, Gladys Poe. Ask the Messengers begins now.
So this is Derick Hill with Ask the Messengers, and we're here on Detroit's west side, Detroit's Northwest Activity Center, with Chief James Harris of the Detroit Fire Department. Chief Harris, how you doing today, man?
I'm great. How you doing this morning, Derek?
Doing real good. Chief Harris, tell us what's going on over here on today.
Today we're getting Detroit fired up to be a heart-safe community. What that means is everybody digs in and learns how to do hands-only CPR. Back in the day, it used to be mouth-to-mouth. We're not doing that anymore. Now it's hands-only CPR. It's real simple. Everybody can do it. And a lot of people are under the impression that the Detroit Fire Department, EMS, police, sheriff, state police are the first responder. But in all actuality, it's you. You're the first responder. 3 out of 4 times in the house, the heart attack victim happens at home. So you're the first responder. And the more educated, the more you know about hands-only CPR, the better the chance is of survival.
Okay, Chief Harris. All right, so we're talking about these huge events, these big events that's being taking place here in the city of Detroit. Let's talk a moment about Chief Harris. Who is Chief Harris, and what motivates you to do what you do, sir?
Who is Chief Harris? Chief Harris is a little kid that grew up on the west side of Detroit, got a fire truck as a toy as a 2-year-old, and just dreamed about being a firefighter my whole life. So starting in 1997, I quit working forever. I'm living my dream. So when I get up in the morning, I'm really living my dream. I do it for the community. I do it for the city. And I'm a lifelong Detroiter, just like Ask the Messengers. We can't thank Ask the Messenger enough for coming out and always being in the community. That's all we got is us. Let's keep it going.
All right, this is Derick Hill again with Ask the Messengers, and I'm here with Tony Sue. Is that right, sir?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. Okay, Mr. Sue, tell me what it is that you do, sir.
I'm actually an emergency physician at Trinity Health in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay, and what do you think about today's event and the classes that are going on here at the Detroit Northwest Activity Center?
We need to have this every year, multiple times a year. We need to train the whole community, not just in Detroit, but throughout the whole state of Michigan, and we can be the leaders. I know that they have good designations for heart-safe communities, heart-safe cities. One is in Holland, Michigan. We should be able to be at that top level, saving lives every day. Throughout the state of Michigan, whether or not you want to go to the American Heart Association website or Save My Heart website, you can find out where they're having these kind of training events to bring your family and friends, because you might save a life, but they might save yours as well. So make sure you bring family and friends with you.
This is an amazing program that our Medical Control Authority and area responders are putting on that will hopefully increase the survivability of our cardiac arrest patients. The sooner you can get CPR to someone, even if it's just hands only, is shown to, by statistical data, to increase their survival rate to when we can get a return of spontaneous circulation.
Okay, so now we know that in the past, CPR was done a little bit different than what's going on out here today. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so let me say this. Now, it used to be that there was mouth to mouth that was included, right? Tell us a little bit about the difference in what it used to be and what it is today.
Well, with mouth to mouth, obviously you had a lot of people that didn't want to do that because of disease processes and not wanting to possibly being exposed to something. However, with hands only, what we figured out was the patient was breathing prior to them going into cardiac arrest. So there's oxygenation in the blood that we can continue to pump.
Okay.
And once there's oxygen in the blood, then we continue to pump it around with our hands-only CPR. And then the use of an AED as soon as possible has shown a remarkable increase in survivability.
All right. Sounds good. And so, listen, we want to thank Henry Ford Health for all the work that you guys are doing. And this sounds like an innovative approach to heart health and being a first responder. And tell me.
It is, thank you. It is a stopgap between 911 and from the time that they drop with cardiac arrest or having a sudden cardiac event to the time EMS gets there. This is a stopgap. This gives us every opportunity as a first responder to be successful in our attempts to successfully resuscitate someone.
Yep. Okay. Yep. And it's all about saving lives.
Absolutely. It's all about saving lives.
And what is it that you do with the Detroit Fire Department?
Well, some would probably say unofficially, I would be the chief storyteller of the department in terms of gathering video and photos of all the different events and how they are impactful in the community. And I put that out for people to see. So I'm the social media manager and content creator, and I tell stories. I tell the stories of the fire department.
I'm sure you're quite creative.
I would say that I have to be in this role. I attribute that to actually one of my mentors, who is a producer of yours, Miss Tina Nelson. She is amazing. She kind of challenged me a lot growing up in college in terms of my thought process when it came to putting things together, ways to think of things differently. So I appreciate Tina for that. Thank you.
Well, that's even more awesome. Tina is actually our producer, editor, and host for Ask the Messages, right?
She's amazing, incredibly talented, incredibly gifted, and I'm so glad that she's still out there. She's working, she's putting her gifts out there for other people to see and enjoy.
Okay, this is Tina Nelson for Ask the Messengers, and today we attended our own Derick Hill. We attended hands-free CPR, which was quite interesting, a well-attended event to be exact. We met with the Chief Fire Department, James Harris, a couple of the providers, and now we are trying to tie in the Detroit Health Department. We got Miss Christina Floyd, and she's just going to tell us what was the role with the Detroit Fire Department and Detroit Health Department. How did that come together? Just share your insight on the collaboration, and welcome to the show as well.
Thank you so much for having me, Tina. That opportunity was put together with WDIV along with Detroit Fire Department, EMS, and some other local area partners such as Superior Ambulance, Wayne State Medical School, as well as the Detroit Health Department. We were really excited to be a part of this event to provide blood pressure checks along with oxygen flow monitoring, but then also be able to provide the community with the wonderful resources that we have here within the health department and some events that will be coming up soon.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate everything that we see when we go to events, and we're always excited to see the Detroit Health Department vendor table. We know that there's a wealth of information that you share with the communities that you all serve. So we appreciate your collaboration. And today's event definitely was well attended. We were there for a little while and they were coming through the door. So that was a good thing. And it was exciting to see the demonstrations of the CPR that was being done by hand versus by mouth. So thank you so much again, Ms. Floyd, for all that you do for the Detroit Health Department to keep us safe, keep us well, and just everything that you do. We really, truly appreciate you. Is there anything else that you would like to add at this time before we let you get back to your schedule?
Thank you again. I just want to say, it's great to show the mission and vision of the health department align with all of our city partners, as well as for our residents to really see them thrive and be healthy. That's what we always strive to do within the health department.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. I am Maria Williams. I'm a Christian. I'm 26 years old. I love Jesus. I'm a newly mom and a wife, and I just love telling people about the gospel, and I love telling people about Jesus.
Amen. Amen. And guess what, audience? The title of her book is 50 Shades of Jesus. Tell me what inspired you to write this book. You know, as I was reading it, I saw you were talking about your depression, you know, how you were rejected. Just tell the audience a little bit about that part.
My upbringing it had some rough parts growing up in Detroit. And Jesus, he really saved me just from a life of sin. And I have came to know him to be all these things. So I have came to know him to be a healer, to be a lawyer, to be a defender. And as I wrote this book, I just wrote about who I came to know Jesus to be and how he's so much better than I could have ever known. So that's kind of part of the reason why I wrote it.
That is so awesome. So when did you write this book anyway? When did your book come out?
So the book, I finished the book in 2020 during the COVID, but I was working on it for about 4 years, actually. So 2017. I was working on it for about 4 years, and it finally came out in 2021, and my husband actually designed the cover. And it was a long journey, but I finished it and published it out after my dad passed away. And it was kind of just an obedience thing of, you know what, you need to do the things that God is calling you to do.
At what point in your life did you decide to just turn your will and your life and your whole self over to Jesus? And then give us those steps that you took. For the younger generation, you know, a lot of times the younger generation, they say, well, I got to be perfect before I go to Jesus. But Jesus wants you to come to him in sin. Tell us, at what point did you decide to turn your life over? And then kind of tell us the steps that you took to do it.
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. I was, what you're saying, dead in sin. I was being sexually assaulted. I was going through a lot in Detroit. I was all alone, and I had terrible influences in my life. And thank God for my sister. She locked me in her car and took me to church. And it was at that moment where I just heard the music. I didn't know much. I didn't know much of the Bible, but I sensed the Holy Spirit was drawing me to the altar, and I went to the altar and I gave my life to Jesus. And it was like the lights came on. And I just started to go to church every Sunday. I started to read the Bible. I didn't fully understand all at once, but eventually he began to do a work, and here I am. And I think that it's just that simple of praying. It's just that simple of talking to somebody that seems to know God. It's just that simple of going to a church and just praying to Jesus and asking him, come into my heart, help me, lead me, guide me. So that's how I came to the Lord.
I am here with Aaron. I want you to tell all our viewers the name of your business and kind of how long you've been in operation.
So I've been in operation for about 5 years now since I got my LLC, but I had been doing the brand for a couple years before that. So it's really been about 10 years now. But it's just a streetwear brand, high-end streetwear called Royal Clothing Brand. And mainly I just try to focus on like innovative designs and functionality with the clothes, as you guys will see in a second. But other than that, it's just kind of typical streetwear stuff like hoodies, shorts, joggers, hats, etc.
That's cool. Now this shirt, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the shirt, because this is your brand too. Yep.
So this is the main logo that you guys see here. It's a crown with the word royal kind of throughout it. And this is kind of just like more of the simple stuff like crew necks and hoodies. These all have like the main logo. And then I kind of focus on more innovative stuff separately.
Oh my goodness. Now I'm going to just slow down a little bit because I had to flip-flop the mic. Look at this. The name Royal is right inside of there, inside the crown. It's so creative. And when you talk about innovative, I mean, you said almost 10 years. That is a huge feat. You've been in business this long. You've been creating. I know you've had to go through some things. Tell our viewers about some of the milestones or obstacles you've had to overcome.
I'd say my main obstacle is just doubt in myself, because I started this brand with like no background in anything, like no marketing, no design background, no business background. I've just always been creative, and so I just kind of started it out of nowhere. I was just drawing the logo one day, and then I started putting it on some shirts just for fun, and it just kind of went from there. So a lot of the time, like, it's my own self-doubt, just wondering, like, can I do this? Am I the right person for this? It's kind of those things that hold me back the most.
I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on here. You guys, he tells you he doesn't know what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing. He's still doing it. He's mass producing things. How do we get in touch with you?
RoyalClothingBrand.com is the website. I also have Instagram. That's _RoyalClothingBrand_, and then just Royal Clothing Brand on Facebook.
I'm Rob, and I'm recovering from a gambling addiction. I made my last bet on November the 12th of 2022, so I've had a little bit of time clean. But I'm here to reflect on my experiences because all too often I hear that a gambling addiction doesn't matter because it's just about money, and you can always make more money. While money is the main fuel by which gambling addicts continue to stay in action, it's just not the only thing you lose when you're struggling with a gambling problem. Now, the way that I convinced myself that, hey, one big win will get me out of any kind of bad situation I end up in. And for a while, this was true. I would get myself down and I'd win my way back to even. Then I'd say, okay, now I can rebuild from square one. Then I'd be down in that same position again eventually, try to win my way out of it, and I'd lose. Now, I want you to know, it's not all doom and gloom, right? I told you that I placed my last bet November the 12th of 2022. It's been quite a while, and every single day my life's gotten just a little bit easier to live. When you leave gambling behind, it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies, okay? You're not going to magically shit rainbows or whatever, and the sky is going to pour down happiness, all right? But you give yourself the chance. When you are hooked to gambling, you have no chance of being happy because every single game and sports bet is designed for you to lose in the end. And if your happiness is based on winning, you're not going to be happy. Mine was. Now in recovery, maybe I will get a flat tire. Maybe I'll stub my toe. Last night I spilled an entire gallon of water. I had to clean it up. Wasn't happy about it, I'll tell you that. But these problems are things that everyone goes through. Not everyone out there is putting their life savings on a basketball game that they have no control over. If you're doing that, it's a clear sign of a problem. But once you leave those kinds of actions behind and you stop inflicting pain onto your own life, things actually become livable, tolerable. And in that tolerability, you can find some happiness. As your brain resets itself, as you stay away from gambling, you will find pleasure in the things that once brought you pleasure. And you'll start to realize that that life of chaos is not a life that you want to be living anymore.
Mr. Ralphie's legs early last. New day rising, stalking them. He's about to call on it, and now Billy Blues come through in the poster. Now Billy Blue. I think he's just won it from New Day Rising.
Dad? What are you doing? Gambling destroys family.
Game over.
Hello, everyone. And this is your life coach, Gladys, from We Shift Coaching. How about the month of March, guys? Time is moving along. Last month, we talked about self-love. And now we want to talk about living well with disabilities. When we hear the word disability, sometimes the stigma automatically reflects negativity. That's not always the case. That shouldn't be the case. Living well with disabilities is what we want to talk about. You might want to ask me, Coach, how are we going to do that? Well, when you're living well with disabilities, you focus on the things that are working well for you, right? We don't want to focus on the flaws. We all have flaws. So what, right? We need to focus on the things that are working well for us. So oftentimes you see a person with disabilities who can't speak for themselves, who can't conduct business the way that they should. I want to be a little bit transparent. I really do have a heart for people who are unable to kind of help themselves or unable to kind of fight back, if you will. And so I've always been that person to speak up, whether I knew them or not. And it gives them a little bit more confidence to let them know that we care about you out there. So make sure that you understand the good things that are working for you while you move day to day with this disability. Some were born with it, some had life happens, and then you had to learn to adjust with it. But by all means, make it your best life, right? Even the strongest of us are able to move differently and able to embrace things that become different to us, right? So I want to share one little tip for you guys. Learn to accept the disability and give yourself time to accept the change, whatever that may be, right? You don't have to put on a happy face. Sometimes you might feel a little bit down, but that doesn't always come with just having a disability. That's daily life. So learn to accept and embrace and live well, even with the disability. There are people who play basketball. Hopefully we'll be able to see them this month, right? Give you some encouragement. There are people who act. There are people who do lots of things. And disabilities doesn't always have to be physical. Sometimes it's mentally, sometimes it's emotional, but we have help, resources, and support groups that are able to embrace you along with everything that comes with you. So remember, live well with your disability.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Ask the Messengers. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you would like to help support our show, please feel free to make a donation of any kind by visiting our show website, www.askthemessengers.org. If you prefer to mail donations, please make check or money order payable to Ask the Messengers TV show and send it to 18400 Schaefer Highway, Detroit, Michigan 48235. Ask the Messengers is the program that deals with things that help you. Thank you for watching.